Hi, welcome to the next in my series of exploring Kentish villages with my camera. We're in Denton, much to see. There's connections to Lord Kitchener, Your Country Needs You, Thomas Ingoldsby of the Ingoldsby Legends. There's Denton Court, there's St Mary Magdalene Church, and just a plethora of old buildings. It sits on the A260, so we've got a main A road splicing through the village. But it shouldn't stop us taking some good pictures, so enjoy and come along, see what I can capture with the camera and give you some history bits as well. Oh, and this is plastic, who knew? Looks like wood, doesn't it? We'll start in the middle of the village green and I'll give you some gen and then we'll kick the video off. So Denton is an historic village, but sadly the A260 runs right through the middle of it. But before we start, and I'm going to take us to the far end of the village, Tappington Hall, come through here, the main centre of the village, and then take the country lane up the end there, which leads to Broome Park, so from Tappington Hall to Broome Park, capture as many nice images as I can. But let's have a look at the sign here. They used to have an actual historic villages, but they've replaced it with this modern one, which is such a shame, but I guess the other one was running out. But you've got this old brick house, bakehouse and dairy farm, which is this one here. Denton Court, which I'll visit. St Mary Magdalene Church, which I'll visit. The Jackdaw pub, which I'll give you some info on shortly. The old post office, which is up there, and the porch house, which is that one there. So let's start at the top end of the village at Tappington Hall. So coming down off the A260 into this country lane, we've got this rather ancient old farm. Some wonderful landscape opportunities. But that's what I'm particularly interested in. And unfortunately, it's covered in scaffolding. I had hoped to show you Tappington Hall in all of its glory, because it's kind of 1500s old Tudor building. But it has a significance because if you've heard of the Ingoldsby Legends, I'll put something on the screen for you. This was the Reverend Richard Harris Barham, who under the pen name wrote some poems, some horror stories, and he named himself, I can't remember the first name now off the top of my head, I was reading it this morning, but it was such and such Ingoldsby of Tappington Hall. Now some of his legends, one of the stories relating to Denton was of two brothers who were opposed to each other during the Civil War. One was a royalist and one was parliamentarian. And apparently, can't really see it, I'll show you when we get there, they fought each other. They lived in separate sides of the house, and one evening they came upon each other in the middle staircase. A duel ensued, sword fighting, and one of the brothers was killed. I think it was mentioned on the plaque back there. So the house is actually covered. It would have made for a lovely photo opportunity. But I can see 2 or 3 shots I can get here. I love the old farm, and actually this structure here, it looks like it's from the 1800s. Just look at that, isn't that stunning? Obviously you've got modernity here. Whoa, windy. So I think I might get a shot of the barn from this angle. Look at that, isn't that ancient? Let me set up. So maybe I'll just capture it with its characteristic nodules on the roof. I don't think I can get black and white out of this. It might just be nice to keep it in colour. But it's a nice old structure. What I'm going to do is take it at 18mm, push the building a little to the right so that I can get, there's no point putting it smack in the middle of the picture, but I can capture the greenery on the right hand side. on the left-hand side. So I'm in manual priority, or ISO 100. It wants a 50th of a second at f13. I don't know if my camera's picking it up, but you can see the wind is blowing all the grass on the field. That looks wonderful. Not enough definition for a picture. But I like the tree here. I'll show you this in a minute. I saw it as I was walking along. Oh, there's a wind. I hope my Rode microphone is not picking up the wind. It usually doesn't. Now, legend has it that Baron Fitzurse was one of the knights that killed Thomas à Becket, and he took refuge here at Tappington Hall after his part in the murder. Now, the two brothers from the Civil War, one was a Roundhead and the other was a Cavalier, and they lived in different parts of the house, never seeing each other until they met one night on a staircase. A duel ensued and the Cavalier was killed. Tappington Hall. But look at this countryside, rolling hills, all the different shades of green on the trees, and that would make a great shot in stark black and white, as would this. I'm going to take a shot of this. I'm just going to find the best angle. Nice shades and shadows. Shadows. Just a clump of trees in the middle of a field. Looks good, doesn't it? How far back do I come here to get the best angle? So obviously I can't go in the field because we've got these cables. There we go. That looks good. The theme. I'm almost wanting to make it a theme. If I'm going to do a shot that's just of a building in the middle of situated buildings, then I won't situate the subject on the left or the right. But in this instance, just the clump of trees, I think push it to the left and have the open space on the right. That could work. And it could work in colour as well as black and white. Very nice. And here it is in black and white. I'm going to walk down the lane here and we'll continue at St. Mary Magdalene Church, have a little walk around there, maybe even get inside. But they've also got Denton Court here, which used to be twinned with Wootton Court. But Wootton Court no longer exists, so let's head down here. It may not be the quaintest of villages in Kent, and I'm sure I'll explore some, quainter ones. But there's something special about having a walk just through the countryside. I know I've got the 260 there with all the cars and everything, but you happen upon something like this. Look at that. The colours are so vibrant. Admittedly, I've got a polarizer sunglasses, but all the lush greens, we've got this kind of level island in the middle where no crop grows. And you've got these trees. A lone tree. Is that the shot? With the shadow. Can I isolate it? Make it a square crop. Let's come back a little. Yeah, that will work. I'm going to go for the lone tree. I might actually, when I get to the end of the lane, take the shot backwards, but I've got the sun behind me, so it's washing down. So, yeah, perfect. I think what I might do is just quickly give you a live view of what I intend to do with this image. So there you've got it. If I come in, I might be able to get a square crop. Something like that. Hope if I focused it for you. It's a funny one. I want the tree. I have a clump just on the left. I can't get in stingy nettles. Who wants to stand in the middle of stingy nettles? But I can do something with it, and I might be able to clone out and just have the stark tree with the green field and the blue sky, and then do something with it in post-processing. Yeah, it looks lovely. And then coming down the lane, taking a look at the trees from this side. Let me see if I can stand out the way. It looks so tiny now compared to when I was taking a picture of it before, and these two are ginormous. But that's because of perspective, right? So, can I get down? Camera probably won't follow me. is it? I don't know, I can't tell. I want the lane and the trees. We've got f11 400th of a second. I've locked it in at ISO 100. Oh, quite pleased with that. And so working my way back in towards the village, we have to pass Denton Court and St. Mary Magdalene Church, which is up the footpath, public footpath. We've got the very busy A260. I'm quickly going to take a shot of the sign, just because. Canterbury Folkestone A260. It's rather odd, because the last two villages I did, yes, there was still traffic in the middle of the town, but there was no main A road running through it. However, we do have some lush countryside scenes, so I think I'm going to get my fill of landscape photography as well as village scenes today. So just up here is Denton Court, which dates back to, I believe, the 1600s. And it was twinned with Wootton Court, which was at the top of the hill, where I actually live. So during World War II, and I got this from an old neighbour who sadly passed away, and he was telling me the story of the two courts. And he told me that Wootton Court was acquisitioned during World War II, and the Canadian Air Force, could have been Canadian Air Force, could have been the Canadian Army, but they requisitioned it as an HQ, and apparently they left it in such a state that it was uninhabitable after the war, and Wootton Court was demolished in the early 1950s. So only like 5, 6, 7 years after the war, nobody could, renovate it. And so they demolished it. And it twinned with Denton Court, which is here. So if we come through this lane, it is a public footpath, so I'm not trespassing. It's like a scene from Pride and Prejudice. Look at that old majestic building. Wonderful. I think I'll get a shot of this. Denton Court. This is from my old neighbour who has passed away now, because I've lived in this area for 11 years, so you get to hear some stories. Doesn't that look lovely? Denton Court was in the same family, I think, from around the 1800s. The story goes that because the house was in the same family for all those generations, by the time it came to the last inhabitants, and we're talking just after COVID, 2021, 2022, a brother and sister in their 80s lived here. No other family. Perhaps some help, family help. It became dilapidated, unrenovated. And you can see like boarded up windows, and the paintwork's all gone, it's all shot. The grounds are still kept nicely, but it was on the market recently. Hello, recentering. It was on the market recently, £2.75 million. Now, if you're going to buy a property like that for 2.7 million, you'd need another 2.7 million, in my opinion. I don't know, I've never renovated a house, to do it up to its original grandeur. But it's happily situated, and it has its own church, which we'll visit in a minute. So I think a shot, but where's the best shot? I could go straight on, but I'm not an estate agent, so I don't want to do an estate agent straight on shot. So I think what I'm going to do is take it at an angle here, and maybe just hide the left-hand side of the building. What do you think? With that bush, and just capture the old structure. It's all good fun. I'm not planning anything. I'm just meandering around villages to take shots. But I can situate the house on the left-hand side of the frame, capture the tree, and just have it in its splendour. 18 mil, 10th of a second. Let's push that I might be able to do that. Let's do a pano. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the reason I'm doing that, you saw the first shot, but the reason I'm doing the pano is so that I can do, and James Popsis did this on one of his images recently. And if you saw my video on subject matter, where I chose the Ripple windmill, I did a letterbox image with the pano. And my friend Mark, the best pano you've ever done. You should do more pano videos. Thanks, Mark. I love the encouragement. So here's the pano of this, the lovely house, but in letterbox format, while I go and have a look and see if there's anything to take a picture of in the church. I believe the church, as a Norman church, dates back to obviously Norman times, medieval. Look at that, isn't that wonderful? That's a shot to think about. Commonwealth War grave. So, in the accidentally drowned at HM Naval Base, Queensborough, June 1918, aged 34. 1918, that's when World War I ended. And he accidentally drowned. How tragic. So I want to get a couple of shots of some old gravestones. They look quite atmospheric. We could make the image black and white. Maybe take a shot up of the Norman, I want to say spire, but there's no spire. It's flat church, isn't it? Let's just take a look. If it's open, lovely and quaint here, look at that. So Denton Manor, you can just see it through there. So did they have their own church? Can we go in? I do like investigating churches, if they are open to the public. Oh yeah, look at this. Very atmospheric. Apparently that's a Norman font. I read somewhere that there was a Norman font. Stained glass window. And the altar. Looks like something in Latin. Truni Emperor Membrorum Parliamentum. I should do Google Lens. In memory of William Willets, Esquire of Denton Court, 1791 to 1867. Psalms. I think a couple of shots here, don't you? Interior shots, right? Stained glass window. I love the reflections on the floor, but it's, yeah, it might be worth a shot. Stained glass window with the Psalms sign. I think what I might do is just put this in auto mode. I'm indoors, I don't want to faff around with ISOs and things like that. But auto mode should give me the colours I want, and it did. Look at that stained glass window, isn't that lovely? In memory of John Lewis Lamotte, died 19th of June 1856. So they created a stained glass window in his honour. I like the colours when you get the light coming through. John the Baptist. John the Baptist baptising Jesus. We've got some reflections on the floor here. Lovely. Outside we go. The path from the church leads us out onto the main private drive of Denton Court. I'm wondering if it's been sold, because suddenly there's all these little signs saying private property, which were never there before. Kind of like that, to the church. Nice signpost. I took a lovely picture of that in winter when I was walking down, because it used to be on the other side of the road. So I'll display that picture for you. I'm not going to take the picture there. They've resited it. It looked like this. So the drive comes out onto what was once the old gatehouse, or the gate lodge. Lovely old building, which itself comes out onto the A260. Some guy stopped to sort his sat-nav out. I'm lost. Where is Denton? And so we come out onto the A260 and basically into the village. Now see all those cottages down there? Again, I took a lovely shot of that in the winter here. It's all about choosing the right time, isn't it? I'm like total midday and it's blue sky. When the brother and sister died and the house went on from the market, they actually owned all the properties that were rented here. Obviously, some people have bought the houses in time, but these houses suddenly all went on the market. So I think I can get a shot of a street scene of Denton's main road, with the meandering road, the A260, buildings and quaint cottages. We'll walk down there in a minute. Because as much as this is a history lesson, it's actually a photography video, isn't it? I'm trying to capture a scene and it's quiet. So maybe I should try and stop talking and just capture the street scene. Let's come out a little bit here. It's not very nice that I've got the bins out, because it's bin season, but there you go. Some very nice buildings, but you know what? To have a house so close to the A260 may not be the ideal place to live. Sure, you can have extension after extension and extension. That looks lovely up there. But your front door comes out onto this main road. Now, they had to rebuild a house down here because someone came charging through, lost control, smashed into one of the houses. It was probably this one because it's been renovated. No, so 1718. It was more one of these ones at the end. I think it was this one. You can see it's got new masonry work on the windows. But the car lost control and came skidding. No, it can't be that one, because the windows are too old. Ah, is it this one? With its new windows. Yes, it was this one. Came crashing in. They had to rebuild all of this. Tragic, eh? And as you can see inside, nobody lives there. It's empty. Oh, really old and dilapidated. I can't even show you inside. Weird, eh? In the days when this was just horse and carts, would have been lovely. Pony and trap coming through. Now it's actually a cut through. To come off the A2 and get down to the M20, you'll have all the traffic coming down, and that includes 18-wheelers. Juggernauts. Is that nice? But it's facing into the sun, so I don't want to take a picture of that. This is nice, but not really photogenic. So we've got some nice old buildings. I'll walk up that side street in a minute. The old bakery is up there, the old post office. And we've got the Jackdaw. Two interesting snippets about the Jackdaw pub. The first of which, if you saw my Capel Laferne video, link up here, if you saw that on my history channel, Tudor Travels, you'll know that I talked about the Battle of Britain, or at least the movie with Christopher Plummer and all those stalwarts of English acting. But the Jackdaw pub featured in that film. Keep Kent Tidy. This village won Best Kept Village competition in 1958. Just a short while ago then. The village green. Still some majestic old buildings. We've got a military vehicle. Just as I'm about to talk about the Battle of Britain, here come a series of military vehicles. Modern ones by the looks of it. So the Jackdaw Inn, which I'll take a picture of in a minute, featured in the film The Battle of Britain, 1967 or 8 when that came out. And in that scene, you get the Home Guard walking around the corner there and then doing their little parade in front of the pub. Put a little clip here. Right, left, right, square, out! And then in the next scene, we see Christopher Plummer comes down the road here in his old MG, skirts past the phone box, which is probably the same phone box. So mark that, because I'm going to put a still of the scene in a minute. That's not a 1940s phone box. Be interesting to see if that was the one in the scene. Anyway, he comes and parks his car right at the front of the Jackdaw pub. The other thing I wanted to mention, when I was up at Tappington Hall, I couldn't remember Mr. Ingoldsby's first name. It was Thomas. So Thomas Ingoldsby was the pseudonym of Richard Harris Barham. And he wrote a story called The Jackdaw of Reims, which was about a bird, a jackdaw, which steals the ring from a cardinal, no less. And in I think it was 1961, this pub was renamed the Jackdaw. Obviously the connection with Richard Barham, the clergyman who lived in Barham, but he wrote the stories about the Thomas Ingoldsby of Tappington Hall, which we saw earlier. All in scaffolding now. Let's see if we can get a nice picture of the Jackdaw pub. Getting it in its best aspect. I've got a bollard here, so I don't want the bollard. I've got the main road. I think a pano, and then I'll trim out the road in the pano. That's the beauty of photography. You can do all sorts of weird things with it. So we've got some historic buildings here, haven't we? Let's just walk up here, see if we can see anything photograph worthy. This one's for sale. Is this the old bakery? One Bakery Cottage. So this was a thriving little village community in its day, because you had the dairy. This would have been the dairy, and the farm, and the milk churns. Is that what they're called? I was going to call them milk urns, but I think the milk churns. I could just visualise it here. And they had the bakery. They actually had a butcher's up here as well. And not only a butcher's, that wisteria smells great. Maybe it's season of wisteria. Might get a shot of that when we come back, because this is a dead end. Wow, check it out. That's quaint. So what I'm doing, I'm walking up to the end here, just to see what it looks like. Then I'll walk back, because it's only a small lane. That's the village hall. And apparently they had a post office and they had a little sweet shop down here. Sweet shop. A confectioner's. Public footpath goes up into the woods. There's actually nothing photogenic there, so I'm going to see if I can just get a couple of shots here. Then we'll push back beyond the other side of the village, where they've got Broome Park. So I want to take a shot of the wisteria. That looks really lovely. And maybe with that house, I like the windows. I'll put you on there. Solid ground. You're on the steps to the village hall. The wisteria is going to look good if I take the shot straight on with the gate. There's a nice little circular gate here. I think I have to do a little two or three shot panel here. I'm at 18mm, but because I'm so close up, I'm losing the edge of the wisteria. Plantage. Didn't realise the other side of the sign, they've got this Denton and Wootton walking guide. So a short walk around Denton, short walk around Denton and Wootton, short walk around Wootton, a walk from Wootton to Broome Park and Barham, and so on and so forth. So Denton and Wootton, Wootton there. Where's Denton? Denton Court, where we stood. Tappington Lodge is somewhere here in Denton Woods, or was it there? I didn't quite. Oh, that might be it. Came through, went up to Denton Court, came through into Denton itself, and you can go up the back roads there. Nice walk, but I'm going to go to Broome Park. We'll have a look at that. What I forgot to say was that Denton was its own parish, a civil parish, from 1800s up to 1961, and then they dissolved the civil parish and they joined both Wootton and Denton together, so it became the parish of Denton with Wootton. Just so you know. Right, I'm going to Broome Park, and so finally we make it to the, what would it be, the western side of Denton. We come upon Broome Park. Now Broome Park is a Grade 1 listed building, and it was built between 1635 and 1638 for one Basil Dixwell. You shouldn't laugh at people's names, should you? But it sounds very much to me like something out of Austin Powers or James Bond. Ian Fleming would have had fun with Basil Dixwell. Dixwell. Two L's. It's now Broome Park Country Park, wedding venue, spa and a golf course. And the beauty of it is they've got some majestic old architecture, and there's a public footpath that runs right through the middle of it. I say right through the middle, I'm probably on private property now. So let's get back up onto the footpath. Now the interesting thing about this was that in 1914, Lord Kitchener bought it. Now, Lord Kitchener, he came to prominence during the Boer War and the early parts of World War I. And he was instrumental in the whole recruitment campaign, you know, with the poster, I'll put it here, "Your country needs you." That was him. And this was him in some promo shots. Now, he lost his life in 1916. He was on an emissary mission to Russia, and he was up in the Orkney Isles, and he boarded a ship, HMS Hampshire I think it was, set sail, and it was struck by a mine that had been laid by a German U-boat. It sank. 733 souls lost, one of which was Lord Kitchener. So bought it in 1914, perished in 1916. But I think I can take a couple of shots. I think what I might do is head down here, see if I can get something straight on. Because I'm really getting involved in the history now, and I forgot that I was doing a photography video. Gosh, I should have done walking tours on my Tudor travels. Trouble is, with only 700 subscribers, who's going to watch it? I lost my nerve. There was someone official looking with a laptop going through some paperwork the other side of the marquee there in front of the house. I thought, I just don't fancy being challenged. I could be a golfer, of course, just coming around taking pictures, but I don't like breaking the rules. But we get a nice aspect of the house here, and that could afford a couple of shots. We've got this lovely architecture. There's a headless torso there. I think there's an urn somewhere as well. So at the end, there's the urn. So what I'm going to do is a bit of I don't know, just walking around. I'm going to leave the camera exactly there. I'll speed up as I go between each section. The microphone is good. It picks up something like 200 or 300 yards, something like that. So I can talk, but I can also take some pictures, which is lovely. So yeah, let's just do some random shots. Take a picture of that urn first. Oh, drat. Just as I was taking it, somebody walks in front of me. Don't do that, people. Actually gives me a chance to change my settings. I'm going to put auto ISO on. I'm going to go in aperture priority and just shoot at a 13th. No, let's go f11. And that way, I'm guaranteed to get the right light and exposure. Perfect. Because I left the camera, I don't know if it's focused on me or not, but I'm down. Oh, we got some people. No, quickly before they turn up. I need to get close up. Well, there you have it. That was my walk around Denton. It's a tiny village, but there's actually quite a lot of historical elements to it, as there are in all of these places I've visited so far and will continue to visit. I think it's a great idea for a series because I get some good photography done, but I also fill my passion with, historical tidbits, as they call it. Thank you so much for joining. Any shots, as usual, that I didn't show you me taking, I'll put a little gallery together, and I'll continue with this in vain and say thanks for watching and bearing with. I will also add that tonight I'm meeting up with a fellow YouTuber, Martin Smith, no relation. Started following me a year or so ago, and sort of conversations went back and forth about styles, equipment, as you do with other photographers. And I met him last year, back in May, and he dropped me a line. He said, "Hey, I'm back in Folkestone, do you fancy meeting up?" So we're going to meet up this evening, and that could be a midweek video next week. I don't know if we'll do any photography, in which case you'll never see this, but you get the gist. If we do a walkabout with our cameras, then why not vlog it, right? Anyway, I'll see you in that video or the next video. Bye for now.